Joining us right now is Tennessee Senator, member of the Armed Services Committee, Judiciary and Veterans Affairs Committees, Marsha Blackburn. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you.
What do you want to see in terms of China? The retaliatory tariffs are obviously in place from Beijing, but we're expecting an even bigger bite come December. Are you expecting a deal?
I think we will see a deal, Maria. And look at how China reacted as soon as the Japan agreement was announced. And knowing that that is there in principle kind of spurs them on. What I hear from my Democrat colleagues is that the USMCA will pass handily in the House. It is up to Nancy Pelosi to put it on the floor, call the vote. I'm hopeful she will do that next week. We know that the UK deal is there when they exit Brexit. That has been worked on. And China didn't want to be the first to strike a trade deal with the U.S. They sure don't want to be the last. And with the tariffs on these consumables, it is going to affect their approach.
Well, we have a big week in terms of the economy this week. Do you think in the middle of all of this, we're going to see an impact to economic growth? Given the fact that there's all of this uncertainty, because we are going to get a good reading into the economy this week when we got lots of numbers coming out, culminating at the end of the week with the jobs numbers. And we're wondering if we're going to see, that's the uncertainty out there, and the fact that rates are so low, because people don't know how this is going to end.
Well, I loved what Lee was just saying about the difference between being there, looking at hope or fear, and how you react to things. And here in Tennessee, as I've visited with manufacturers and have been on plant floors during the month of August, I'm going to tell you, Maria, people are betting on hope, not on fear. And they fully believe that we're going to see something resolved with China. And when you talk to our farmers and ag producers, Japan's agreement is very focused on agricultural products. And this is going to provide some relief for them. They're hopeful about USMCA and the markets that are going to be there. And I'm telling you, on that USMCA, when you have the Farm Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, the UAW, and the Teamsters all supporting an agreement, call the vote and pass the thing.
Yeah, we'll see.
And
we'll see if she brings it to the floor next week. I mean, if she brings it to the floor next week, people feel it will get a yes vote. We'll see. But that's important for the economy as well, John.
Senator, I want to ask you about politics and the China negotiations. These negotiations are dragging on. They could drag on through the 2020 election. Would you be comfortable with these negotiations continuing to get a better deal, even if it goes on through the 2020 elections? Or do you want the president to finish this up and get it out of the way before 2020?
We want this done right. The thing that has happened with China and China trade is that there has been a kick-the-can mentality, and they have just lied, cheated, stolen, taken our technology transfer, intellectual property violations. The copyright court in Shanghai has not been a whole lot of help to U.S. innovators, so let's get this done right. I think having these other trade agreements puts some much-needed pressure on China to get this done. And, you know, when you look at every different sector, whether it's the entertainment sector, the technology sector, of course the agriculture sector, China, look at the WTO violations that they have had. The list goes on and on. Everybody wants to deal with China and say, look, if you're going to be a market economy, act like a market economy.
Well, that's what we're seeing, and we're seeing that play out right now in Hong Kong, obviously, where they are demanding freedoms. There's a great op-ed this morning in the Journal about comparing what's going on there to Tiananmen Square. We'll keep watching the Hong Kong situation. But what are your priorities now when you and your colleagues get back? Gun regulation is one thing being spoken about, the push to prohibit high-capacity magazines. That's gaining steam from lawmakers following recent mass shootings, including this past weekend in Odessa, Texas. 9 states plus Washington already passing laws restricting magazine capacity to 10 to 15 bullets. The House weighed a similar bill at the federal level, which would ban magazines holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Senator, what should be done? Do you think this is going to be high on the agenda when Congress gets back in session?
Of course, looking at the issue is going to be important. Maria, no one wants someone who is a danger to themselves or others to have a gun or any kind of weapon. And no one wants to abridge someone's law-abiding citizen's Second Amendment rights. I think what you will see, and I will say this, one of the most impactful roundtables I did during the month of August was with law enforcement officials in Upper East Tennessee. And they continued to talk about the need for more beds and facilities with those with mental illness.
Yeah.
And during my time in the state, one mom told me about how pleased she was to finally get her daughter, who had been homeless, drug addiction, mental illness, in a facility, and what a relief that was. Another woman told me about her brother, who they have been to the police with his social media rantings and have said, he owns a gun, help us, and they can't do anything. Looking at how we address that, looking at how we address mental illness, how we look at beds and facilities so that people have the care and the medical attention that they need.
That's why the president was talking about these red flag legislation, Lee. It's where when there's a red flag, when you think there's a mental illness, you need to flag it.
Right. I mean, there's no question.
I don't know if that could be abused, though. I mean,
it could be abused. I think there's some people that are worried about their freedoms, but there's two sides of this argument, right? There's do you regulate the people, getting it, in the right hands, making sure the guns don't get the people, or do you regulate the guns themselves? And it seems like, most folks on the right are now talking about how do we deal with the mental illness part, which is why I think the red flag sort of goes to making sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands.
Right. Yep. Senator, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.
Marsha Blackburn joining us there.